look in the eyes of my brother without shedding a tear for my brother.
Got a hit there. Welcome back to another episode of the InforMILLy podcast. Want to thank y'all for joining us yet again on these airwaves. We are usually four brothers. Brother A-Dub's not here with us today. I don't know why I always talk like a black Israelite every time I start this podcast, but thank y'all for joining us again. Three brothers today from the Miller neighborhood of Gary, Indiana, coming together to converse about this thing called life. And sometimes talk about current events. Sometimes we don't. But above all else, we pride ourselves on being forthright, vulnerable, and most of all, as I adjust my camera, you're going to deal with it because most of y'all not watching this anyway. You're just listening. Honest. Thanks, y'all. In case you're just listening for the first time, my name is Josh. I tend to talk the most especially when Aaron's not here. But we also have Marco.
What's up, people?
And we got AJ. My bad.
That's
reporting live from the vehicle.
And yeah, Adam's here as well. In the basement.
Of course, by the time this comes out, this would have happened already. But the whole Will Smith, Chris Rock thing, which we're not really even talking about, but then that transfers into more recently, T.I. bum rushes the stage of a young woman comedian at her own open mic that she was hosting. Because she said a joke, he proceeded to heckle her. She hit him with I'll oblige to whatever heckle you got going on when you respond to the allegations, and then he took mad offense to that and got all extra soft about the shit. And not saying this disrespectfully to him, it's just the whole thing. If you're gonna be in this comedy gang, you got to be able to take jokes. You can't just be in your feelings about it. But and I get it, it's a whole thing where you gotta with rap, you gotta defend yourself immediately. You don't want anybody out here thinking that you actually did assault anybody or rape, etc. But yeah, jokes in this particular scenario. So first of all, before we hop into the grander subject around this, do y'all got any particular thoughts around the whole T.I. situation?
Well, based on what I know, it seems like he kind of started the whole thing anyway, which is kind of ironic because he's supposed to be this up and coming, stand-up, and it's well, you would think that someone that's into comedy would know not to heckle another comedian. It's that's kind of you would just think have that respect. So yeah, he heckled the person and she said a joke and then he got mad about it. And it's you brought it on yourself though. And at the end of the day, he's the one that looks stupid.
Right.
So it's but for me though, the bigger picture is when I'm gonna stick to this answer the question about T.I. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. So,
and shout out to Lauren Knight because the comedian who was hosting that open mic, because my personal opinion, she handled that shit great.
I think he's really exposing himself as a very undisciplined person. You want to be a comedian, is you gotta go. I think we talked about it somewhat, but I think it's just the fact remains he gotta come up through the underworld of the comedy world.
Mm-hmm.
To make it to the top.
No matter, make it big and underground.
I feel I know he's not he's never been I won't say never, but he's not a underground artist. He's pretty mainstream at this point and has
yeah.
a long time. So I think his privilege is showing with that. Like,
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's my major point. Like, I think he needs to just check his privilege on this particular topic, man.
But he's shown he wasn't gonna do that in the Godfrey situation. He's shown he wasn't gonna do that. And other I know I've heard a couple other comedians bring up, you know, them seeing him in the scene and whatnot. Now, do I know that he's really been out here trying to legit hit these open mics and respecting and all of that? No. But when I hear about this kind of situation, and even that he showed up to an open mic where you're only supposed to get like maybe 5 minutes, and my nigga did 30.
Oh yeah.
I feel like
Yeah, that part keeps getting left out of the story too. Yeah.
Yeah. and
he don't
my bad, Marco. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't think he has any etiquette for other people. That's performing. He definitely didn't respect her, and she had a right to go off on him. I mean, she got into some personal stuff, but that's just what comedians do, especially when they're disrespected at the job.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. Like, you're trying to embarrass them.
Yeah. And he looks like a fool, like Adam said. Like, he only making himself look bad.
Yeah.
He didn't control the situation well. And I don't know why he felt like he had to. I think it's his status that make him feel like he has to control it, but I think he need to realize that that's not what the people want. That's just what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, his ego from being, you know, what the level of artist that he's considered and all of that kind of stuff. It has no place when you're entering an entirely different field. Yeah. No one cares about the respect that you earned as a rapper, because this is about comedy. You got to respect what the fuck that if I go into, you know, I don't know, making whiskey, no one's gonna be like, but I have some fame grown from whatever. No one's gonna be like, oh well, you know, that's it. I guess most motherfuckers who are entering liquor, if they're famous, no one really cares. But yeah, bad example. But the point is, when you enter another artistic craft, you have to respect that you have no clout now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because, like, it seems like there's been the trend of rappers getting into it with stand-ups and comedians, because we know, like, Kanye was getting into it with obviously Pete Davidson, and then Trevor Noah at some point, D.L. Hughley, and then they got Steve Harvey jumped in for a little bit, and then of course there's this situation between you know, the people who are just talking about it. But like, what rappers don't understand is comedians they're not built like rappers. It's like, you're not gonna win that. Like, you might win a battle rap against somebody, but you're not gonna beat a comedian at their own game. Like,
at all.
Their whole job is to make people laugh, and a lot of times it's at the expense of themselves. So you're not gonna embarrass them. So it's like you're not gonna win that battle. And another thing is, comedians, like, you know, when we think of like diss tracks and like, oh, you know, that diss track was ruthless or whatever, he went harder. But it's like, comedians can be just as vicious, like, with their words.
More
and a lot of times,
more of it.
And a lot of times they tone it down simply so they can not be canceled, you know, these days. So it's like that's
I think it's
an even battle,
like to your point,
you know, rappers and comedians, you know. But go ahead. I'm froze.
I think Marcus froze. You're fine, Adam. But yeah, I feel you on that. That it just makes no sense to me how you can come into this particular kind of crafts and think that just because y'all both work with words, that your gift of gab has any kind of leveling with a comedian.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't have to worry about a beat. They ain't got to worry about. All they got to do is make sure what they say cuts.
Yeah, that's true. Like
and
I said, like,
people on their side. Yeah.
Yeah, their whole profession is making people laugh. So they're specialists at that. You know, you're a rapper. You're you're not necessarily trying to make people laugh. So that's not your. So you're not gonna win that. You can try to go up there and be tough and hard all you want to, but they're still gonna win that. Like, and you can
Right.
attack them if you want to, but they're still gonna win. And we see what happened to Will Smith. He attacked with Chris Rock. I mean, it's kind of a slap on the wrist, you know, in the scheme of things. But at the end of the day, Chris Rock technically won that situation. I mean, that's technically.
I
I
mean,
mean, Chris Rock isn't
what,
going to lose anything, is what I'm saying.
yeah, that's what, like, he's not going to lose anything. If anything, his numbers are severely up, which is to
Yeah.
be expected.
Yeah.
Marco,
He
you
did
trying to say something before you froze?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, to Adam's point, like that they won't win against comedians. I noticed with the comedians, like, they have a very high level of like brotherhood within their
Yep.
within their
Mm.
profession. And when something happens to a comedian, everybody stands up for them, you know. And right now, T.I. just looks like an outsider, and
Mm.
He's not helping this case for sure.
No, it's not.
everybody who is like a victim of his nonsense, they stand up for him, man. So he's not gonna win. And it's such a contrast between rappers and comedians, because it's like comedians get rewarded for saying the realest stuff, just like rappers, but I feel like comedians are realer. They really like expose their whole life. So it's like you can't win against that, because he's coming out of an insecure place, but they're coming out of like full like exposure. So it's like,
Yeah, I mean, I guess that could be true in some cases. I don't know that it always is, because there's comedians like Anthony Jeselnik or cats like that who most of their comedy isn't true.
I guess I'll rephrase it to say, like, they rarely played a tough guy role, and
Right.
in comedians, and when they do, I feel like they still have a level of making fun of themselves.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
every comedian has to have that thing in them that's like, that don't take everything serious. And I feel like T.I. is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how rap is built. Rap is, I need you to take me seriously. I need you to take me seriously. Comedy is, I need you to take what I do seriously, if that makes sense. I need you to take like how I approach the craft, and it stays about comedy and not so much about them.
Yeah, I think there are like some rappers and artists that are very good at like having an element of comedy in their music.
Sure.
And it always shows to me, like, even just like for instance, like Anderson .Paak, like he says some funny stuff, and he does funny things in his music,
Mhm.
but it's still dope. But you could tell like he's a comedic person. And I feel like maybe if somebody like that tried to transition over, it would be a little smoother.
I mean,
But
I agree with you that it probably would be a little smoother, but I don't know. Maybe I put a little more weight in the are you funny versus can you do stand up? Like,
Yeah, well,
because I think I think it's go ahead.
I mean, that's yet to be seen with T.I. I mean, that's honestly yet to be seen with a lot of comedians too, because you can work hard and probably be good at it as well, just like any other craft that you do. Like some people who work hard are gonna get ahead of people, with talent. So,
But I think there's a lot of people who are funny but can't do stand up, and I think there's a lot of people who do stand up that aren't funny. It's like I think both exist.
Yeah.
It's when they meet a crossroads that you're like, that's the one. Like that person gets it great.
Yeah.
But Adam, you were bringing up something before we started recording about as you coined the term, Fox News thinks there's a war on Christmas, and today's politics thinks there's a war on comedians. And so, what was the situation that you read about?
Yeah, so there's this politician, this Republican politician named Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie
I can never say her name.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah. So apparently, like Jimmy Kimmel said a joke about her or something, and I guess she called the police on him. And it's like, I mean, and it sounds ridiculous, but I can't imagine. And I can't imagine she really thought anything was going to come of it, but maybe she did. But I guess the bigger picture, like the bigger point, I guess you could say, is like, we all know what happened at the Oscars with Will Smith, and then the T.I. thing, and then this thing.
What happened?
But to me, it seems like people are saying like, okay, if I don't like this joke, I'm gonna just be ridiculous about it. I'm gonna either hit you, I'm gonna call the police, gonna storm the stage. It's like, I'm trying to figure out, like, and the thing is, people are justifying this, so it's not like it's like being done and everyone's against it, because there's plenty of support in all of these. Well, I don't know about the lady calling the police on Jimmy Kimmel, but in the other cases, people are like, yeah, I get why they did that. And for me, I guess I'm trying to figure out how do we get to this place where, like,
how do we get this?
Because hold on, to wrap it up, because this is the same time frame where people are saying that we can't take a joke and that this generation is snowflakes. But the funny is, the people that are attacking people are not from my generation. That's Generation X. That's assaulted people over jokes. So maybe it's them that's got the snowflake issues, but I don't know.
I mean, I think a lot of things inside of how should I say, a lot of the aspects that are complained about as far as the social makeup of today's Gen X, Y, Z, and even maybe a little bit of, I think they're called Generation A now. They started over. It's projection.
Oh.
The ones in power are going to project what their insecurities are on the people who are about to accrue power to make them seem like an issue. Because a lot of these issues that we hear about, as far as people being snowflakes or sensitive and all of that kind of shit, because they make it about some bullshit about pronouns and I don't want to have to do this, that, and the other. And you're like, does that thing really matter? Because the people who are exercising it are either indifferent to that thing, not really bothered by it, or they're caught up in some other privilege that they hold. And so they're trying to make sure that you care about this thing because everybody wants to be marginalized in some kind of way, but not actually suffer any marginalization.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well said. Well said.
And so it's a weird thing inside of that. I know that there's no way she thought that she was going to get anything by calling the police on Kimmel. First of all, it's Kimmel.
Yeah. It's
nothing was going to happen to him.
Yeah.
If anything, he's just going to make another joke off of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
and which I'm going, did you give him ammo to say something else against you, or did you make another reason to keep your name in the ears of people who wouldn't listen to you otherwise? Is it a marketing ploy?
Yeah, it is an attention thing too with some of these people. Like they like heard their demographic and had to say something. They heard their demographic being said in a joke and they want some attention now or something.
I mean, I've never heard this person before this situation. I also highly, highly doubt that anyone who actually supports this woman watches Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, I'm sure they don't. Because like this person is like kind of based off the Trump tree. So like typically
Yeah.
they're the same because we know not all Republicans support Trump, obviously,
Right.
but these crazy people like Trump and this woman, like they attract the same crowd. And for me, it's like I don't have like an issue with, for example, if I worked with a guy that was a Republican. Okay, let me rephrase that. So if it was 2008 and I
Mhm.
worked with a guy that was a Republican, I probably wouldn't have thought much about it. It's like, okay, whatever. But now it's like, now you got to really think like, okay, this guy's a Republican, but what type of Republican are we talking here?
Mhm.
Because there's different. I mean, I feel like there's always been different types, but now it's like, is it like just like, oh, I just believe in family values in
Mhm.
quotation, whatever that means, or is it the ones that are like, I think there's a race war that's brewing up, and I'm stacking up ammo and Trump 2024, and like then there's that type of Republican. So it's like you got to be careful now. Like which type, which type are
You
we
know,
dealing with here?
I'm only sharing this because I thought it was funny in my head. You said stacking up ammo, and I heard stacking up Elmo, and I was like, I don't know what that's gonna solve. Uh,
Hey,
but
I'll,
go ahead, Marco. My bad.
this a little off topic too, but I was like on YouTube watching a video. I don't remember what it was,
Mhm.
and this ad came on, and dude was like, he was like a black politician, and he was like, I'm the left's worst nightmare or something like that.
I know
And
he's
then
talking about.
I'm like,
Mhm.
what? Like,
I-
just because you're a black Republican, you just gonna say that and leave? He didn't say nothing else. What is this, man?
I know
They
exactly what you're
just say
talking about.
they just say random stuff now. Like, I feel like politics is just a big a big joke at this point, man.
It's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I mean, and for the sake of balance, are there a lot of crazy ass Republicans out there? Sure. I do think that there's probably, multifaceted. It's on both sides because
Yeah.
Lord knows some Democrats I can't, or leftists or whatever, I can't stand either. Or when you're just so extreme about everything, you're like, does that what?
And nobody, but the thing is, like, I feel like I don't know, but I feel like 90% of the people on the far left or far right, nobody could stand them. It's like it's a small
You're right.
percentage. There's a small percentage of them, and nobody really likes them. So I feel like we can all kind of agree on that. So why
But
do they try to sensationalize the whole party by saying that? And
of
that's why
course.
I can't rock with them. Like they just go back and forth doing this for years and years and years, and it's not productive, and it doesn't make sense.
I mean, what makes sense is fear tactics. If I can make the other what happened?
It's not scary no more.
To us, but it's always a thing of if I can make whatever the far extreme, no matter how small that percentage is, nuclear, then I can convince you of every aspect of it because that's how racism worked. That's how classism works. That's like
I definitely agree, and I see the crazy thing is I see that the media likes to polarize it, and they blow up those extreme things. That's what they want to talk about. Like I forgot which program I was watching, but like every news story was a racial thing that was tied to a party. And I'm like, every story is like almost they trying to polarize the people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this it's all clickbait and views because the fact that news networks have to get ratings is weird to me because it always has been weird to me because I'm like, this isn't a sitcom. Sitcoms need ratings so that you can go, oh, this is popular.
Yeah.
News should be fucking news.
There's no boundary once you make it about that,
Right. And that's why, you know, folks like Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and all of them motherfuckers can stay on air and claim that as long as it says in their mission statement or whatever that this is not that pretty much everything being said here should not be taken seriously.
Yeah, it's like,
But
I mean,
Yeah, go
I was gonna say all the networks do it, but the reason why Fox News is the most watched network is because they do a really good job of hiring just the right personalities. They have these people that are super opinionated and they're super persuasive, and you know they went to fancy colleges and all this, but so it's like, oh, this person is credible. So like, and they're really good at it. I mean, like I said, all the networks have their
people, yeah.
their
Because Lord
big
knows,
shots.
I don't like listening to Al Sharpton, old bobblehead looking ass, but
But yeah, I mean, but it's just like it's all opinionated. All the their most watched shows are just the opinion pieces, like Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity. Those are the big shots right there. I mean,
I think it's so disgusting when they have to get like a token black guy to say what they want to say. Is like,
absolutely.
when I see that, I'm just like so disgusted because it's so obvious what they're doing.
Exactly.
But
it's so obvious to us. But
it's so obvious to us.
Somebody in Kansas, like, yeah, he's one of the good ones. I can't put my finger on it, but something about that one that I like. Because he agrees with you.
Yeah, there's too many people, really, for real. There's too many people, and it happens in every vacuum that you're just looking for someone who doesn't look like you, or that is kind of on the opposite side of whatever kind of spectrum to validate whatever it is that you want to hear.
Yeah,
and as soon as
yeah,
my bad.
Okay.
I was just gonna say I'm sure it works because like once they see him, they like, yeah, I'm pretty, you know, I'm on track with this. Now I see a black guy agree with me. Now I'm going hard on this topic.
But
it's like
it must be right.
It's like Herschel Walker. Like, what do he have to do with any politic? Like, they just saw that he fought in the UFC. Now, let's get him on our side. Like, you just be, I don't know, man.
Or that's why Candace Owens is like America's sweetheart, because it's like if she was, for example, if she was on like what's that show? It's the talk show with the four ladies.
The View.
This is not The View, but it's like
The Real.
So like, if she was I'm about to say a character. If she was on that cast,
no, you were right.
Yeah.
If she was a cast member on The Real, but she was kind of, you know, they're all. I mean, they don't. It's not a political show, but man, you can guess and say they're pretty much left.
I mean,
leaning.
it is and it's not at the same time.
Okay.
To both of those things. That's why Amanda Seales didn't last long. I think like 3 months or some shit. Because she got in there, was legitimately saying her political views.
Yeah.
And they got her the fuck up out of there.
Yeah. And so I'm saying they're very light. Like I said, I don't watch the show. I just kind of heard Kirsten play a few clips here and there. But like for example, if she was on that show, she wouldn't be loved like that amongst white men in this country. But white men love Candace Owens. It's like Candace. I'll make sure I get her name right. But it's because she says stuff they agree with. So if someone says stuff you agree with, you're gonna like them. I mean, it's just like even if this person looks like someone that you would never listen to, you know. But if they say something you like, it's like, well, I can tolerate this one.
You'd be surprised just how many like mad, bigoted ass white dudes there are out there in rural America who fetishize the fuck out of black women hard as shit. And so to find a black woman who is petite, relatively pretty, and agrees with your political views, or says she does anyway, that's a moneymaker.
Yeah, I'm sure. of it.
Hopefully somewhere in there it'll make them less racist.
Nope. And not once in the history of niggerdom has fucking a nigga made any white person less racist ever. Either you were before you weren't, or you were less racist before you showed up, or you just were what you were when you got there. But nah. Shit, Marcus, it was something you brought up earlier too that I want to make sure we touched on. What was it? What are we talking about?
Oh, okay. You talking about the 4 guys who got acquitted?
Yeah.
The kidnapping.
Yeah. So
do you remember who they were kidnapping?
Yeah, it was the Michigan's governor. One of the governor.
That's what I thought. I'm gonna look it up real quick so that we can get it right.
Gretchen Whitmer.
Yep, that's her. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and it was 4 militia members. So yeah, I guess 2 men were acquitted, and then the other 2 it's a hung jury on the other 2.
Yeah.
An alleged plot. Yeah, words. All right, voiceover time. An alleged plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan. Wait, that is not a sentence. What? Sorry. So it was one of the country's highest profile domestic terrorism cases. An alleged plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, eliminate her security detail, and perhaps touch off a civil war. But after a trial in which prosecutors portrayed the 4 defendants as threats to democracy, jurors on Friday acquitted 2 of the men and said they were unable to reach verdicts for the other 2. The result was a major blow to the Justice Department, which during the Biden administration has made domestic terrorism one of its top priorities in the aftermath of the January 6, 2001 riot in the U.S. Capitol. So that's the top gist of it.
That's interesting.
I don't know how they got acquitted because I'm not reading the whole article. Oh, lost Marcus. So if I'm saying this correctly, the plan was alleged, but because it says the prosecution's case was hampered by a lack of clarity on what exactly the men were accused of plotting. No attack ever took place, and no final date for an abduction was set. The details of the alleged plan sometimes differ drastically from the prosecution's witness from prosecution witness to prosecution witness. So, in other words, their witnesses didn't have a cooperative story, and so because there wasn't because the plan had no date and never happened is why they got acquitted.
See, I think there's a lot more to that story.
I'm sure. Again, this is me skimming the article.
Yeah, because I think like I heard a piece that they actually did know when they wanted to do it. But
as far as the evidence, though, it wasn't written down, I guess.
They said they had been communicating through like WhatsApp or some similar type of thing, a cryptid thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they actually had a whole plan. Like they were scouting out her house and stuff. Like I feel like that was like a watered down story of it. Like not to your like that's not your fault. I'm just saying like
again, this is a very long article that I don't think we should read on here. So but I think
I agree. I'm just saying like it's not justice. That's my point.
Oh, I agree with you. It's clearly not justice that they clearly plan. I'm gonna read this article later just because the plan doesn't really make sense right now as far as how kidnapping this white woman was gonna create a race war.
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody
right.
whose claims like they planning on kidnapping me, and somebody gets pictures or footage of them scouting me out, and they have a whole group, and like I'm gonna take that serious. And
You
it seemed
should.
like she said some things that you would, you release a statement, you say the right things, but it just
Mhm.
didn't feel like she was insulted, I would be trying to get after these dudes.
I mean, I assume that's what the case is about, but
That's pretty. That's
fell through.
that's pretty crazy that the governor, the sitting governor, there was a plot to kidnap her, and the guys that were accused of this got. I just feel like if that was a white guy, I mean, maybe I'm reaching here. I mean, maybe I'm being too woke, but I feel like if that was like a white politician, I don't know. I feel like they would have took it more serious.
Of
I don't know.
course.
I mean, it's
Yo,
weird. It's a little wild
I
this
don't
happened in
think that's-
Michigan.
My bad.
No, my bad. Go ahead.
I don't think that's a reach on your behalf. Like that's
Okay, I just like
that's
to be sure.
I feel like that's 100% fact. Like if it was a white guy, and God forbid it would be 4 bearded black men, this would
Yeah.
be totally different.
Oh yeah, completely.
They
But
got
I don't
footage.
know. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, man. My bad. My mouth keeps moving before my brain made the thought. But no, why in my brain am I like in Michigan this happened? If you'd have told me this was like, I don't know, Louisiana, Mississippi, I'd been like,
Why you don't think Michigan up there with Florida in the nonsense?
maybe I'm just not privy.
It's split 50-50 with Michigan. It's like it's got those backwood folks.
Mm. Yeah, I think I'm just ignorant to it.
Yeah, Michigan on some BS sometimes.
I don't know when I think of, I think Marcus froze again. When I think of like states that are particularly racist, Michigan doesn't jump to mind. But maybe that's just because like I know my family between Detroit and Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids, like those not just 3 cities. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I do that thing where like all states are bad, but there's particular cities that are cool.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a false what's the word? Association. By just going, oh, maybe the state's not that bad. But no, all states suck.
Yeah. Because I'm sure because for example, like the state of Illinois is considered to be a blue state. But we know that once you get out of Cook County, maybe DuPage a little bit, it's not like that. It's not that,
at all.
It's very rural. So
and that's really most of the Midwest. Like
yeah.
I hate the Midwest. And I think I've said that my whole life. Like I hate the fucking Midwest because it's a lie. It's a lie of liberalism that it tries to convince you that it's kind of liberal, but then you go to the rest of the Midwest and you're like, this sucks. And not that being liberal makes you not suck. It just makes you suck a little less.
What I noticed with liberal leaning towns and establishments, it's maybe I'm tripping, but it seems like there's more to do. I mean, and maybe because it's more populated, and that diversity equals. It's something to it, but I mean, most of the time, big cities are left leaning. I mean, that's pretty much always the case.
Yeah,
I never really understood why, but it's.
I think people are a little bit more open-minded when they're exposed to different cultures and people and things.
Yeah.
I think that plays a big part in it.
Yeah, that's valid. That's real valid.
because for me, it's like as much as I love big cities, I don't necessarily want to live in one per se.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like me and Kirsten, we kind of call that like having access to it,
Mm.
So it's like I would like to live outside of a big city, but still have the diversity of the big city. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way.
Right?
But that's in a perfect world. That's what I would want. Or I could even live in a rural area. Honestly, I would have no issue with that as long as it was close enough. Like I'm sure there's some suburbs out here that that would technically fit that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just that's my biggest challenge is like being in a diverse place, but that's not overcrowded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like the crowding. I just like access. I like access to events and like events and gatherings of artists that I actually enjoy, and not just being stuck with Heathcliff, Junebug, and the band.
Yeah.
Or
Led Zeppelin cover bands.
like or fucking ska bands or some shit. Not even disrespect to ska, but like,
yeah.
The last time I was in Wyoming, it was you could go to one of the 3 bars in town, or you could drive 2.5 hours away to go and do something relatively social.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I was like, I don't like that. Just didn't compute to me.
Yeah, I've heard people say like stuff like that, like we're going out, like, and then y'all driving like over an hour to go out. It's like this is not an enjoyable evening.
That's a road trip.
Yeah, like for me, man, like when we lived in South Carolina, that's what it was. Like, I mean, so if we wanted to go to a good Mexican restaurant, we were good. We didn't have to drive too far for that. There was this phenomenal place we used to go to called Mariachis. But so for that, if you wanted anything like local, like super local, I mean, you were good. But if you wanted to do something as simple as going to Best Buy, then you were gonna have to drive 50 minutes to do that.
So you better have your coupons cut out.
Because like that's a whole ass decision to go like, oh, I don't want to look at the same, 13 people that I see every weekend. So now I got to make a trip out of this and drive back. Like
now I understand why they have to complete the mission of having fun. Like they gotta go all out. Like
I've never thought about that.
We ain't coming out here for no reason now. then a ride back, like you're not gonna have any drinks or anything, like, or you just gonna risk it all, right?
Yeah, or you gotta stay the night and really make it a thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if I ever told y'all this story of that place I went to. I think it was Deadwood or Racer, South Dakota, because they had to go to another fucking state in order to have fun.
Well, we know what that's like.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
So what?
We know what that's like to have to go to another state, but
different. 30 minutes is not. Like you got to make a
state to make a living.
That's different. We live on the border of another state. They don't. But yeah, so I go out here, and it was only because I met these like 2 Cambodian chicks or something like that in Walmart in Wyoming. And they were like, "Hey, we're going to Deadwood," and I was like, "This sounds like I might get murdered, but if nothing else, I'm gonna get a good story out of it." So long story short, we get out there, find out that they like had a hardcore fetishization of black dudes, which I didn't fucking realize because we got there and I was like, there's way more black people here than I was expecting. I'd never been to Racer, South Dakota.
Were they all males? Were all the black people there males?
It was like maybe 1 black woman, and it was like so many black dudes. And I don't know.
Very nice.
What you say, Marcus?
I said they knew what they was getting into. You didn't.
I didn't. But I made the trip and I was like, okay, cool. You know, one of them rolled with me and it was like, we're going to meet the other girl there. She going there with a boyfriend and whatnot. I was like, all right, cool. So we make the drive. We get out there and a whole lot of nigga shit starts happening. You know, they rolling blunts under the table and they VIP section in the club and shit. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is happening. But long story, I was trying to say long story short, but we get done with the night. I was like, yo, my flight is leaving. We got to fucking go. Let's bounce. So we get in the car. She's like, oh my God, I forgot my phone. And I was like, all right, you got 10 minutes. So I'm pulling off. I'm not playing with you. I'm not missing this flight and being stuck here. It's 2 flights that leave this bitch every day. That's it. So she goes to grab a phone and she's like, oh, can my friend ride with us? And I was like, all right, where is she? And she was like, I'm not sure. And I was like, then that means no. What are you talking about? I look out the window. Her friend is standing on the corner because her boyfriend is in handcuffs. Cops are breaking up shit because everybody don't got the club. And I hear some little white woman go, leave me the fuck alone. And then tries to drop kick a cop in the chest. And she kicks the cop in his bulletproof vest, immediately falls down. The cop looks at her like, I don't know what you was expecting to happen. And then everybody starts rushing around and running and shit like that. And I'm like, so we're leaving.
Yeah.
It's like we had nothing to stick around. She's like, but my friend. I was like, fuck your friend. I don't really.
Right.
Then they let her friend go. They run over. She runs over to the car like, oh my God, can you please take to the police station because they arrested her dude for whatever reason. So I go drop them off the gas at the station. I'm like, all right, for real, I gotta go. Let's like no. So then we make the drive back, and then this heifer had the nerve. My flight was at 6:45. 6:45. We pulled up at 5:23, and I said, all right, I'm out. It was nice to meet you. She's like, so you not gonna fuck me? You don't get the fuck out of my car.
Does she not understand the urgency of the whole situation?
of all the situations that led to this? I'm sleepy.
When you have to have a good time. Like,
yeah,
I guess the stakes are higher.
I didn't recruit you out here for no reason.
I did 5 hours of driving that I did not want to do. And so yeah, that Marcus, that's a great point you bring up because I've never even thought about like how much of a priority it is now for a person to have fun when you gotta make that drive.
Yo, my bad. I just some like post office people was just like ganging up over here, so I'm like,
you got beef with the postal service?
Yeah, they pulling up, man, in their little truck.
Got a convoy.
Postal service gang.
Has that ever happened to y'all where you went on an adventure that just didn't pan out?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. I remember, I know Aaron not here, but me and Aaron were supposed to go like to Indianapolis and to a party one weekend, and it just like failed, man. It was a disappointing. I mean, it was cool, but it was just like the first problem was we damn near got lost driving. So we made it there late. And I don't remember specifically what happened, but it was like I just hate having to travel like to this whole. I hate having to travel and then just nothing happens. Like,
yes,
I end up sleeping on the floor somewhere. I just hate that shit.
I don't blame you, man.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of a more epic failure. But
Well, for me, I mean, I I have honestly I have a lot to choose from, but I'm gonna say this one, I guess. This I'm gonna just keep it in the South Carolina area. Just
Mhm.
keep it consistent. So like, okay, so actually it all ties together. So there was this one night that me and some of the guys I work with, we were gonna go out to Columbia and just hang out, for the night,
Mhm.
whatever. There's an area called Five Points, which is where, you know, kind of like all the activities were going on. There's a bunch of bars and clubs. And at the time, I was like 23, 24, so it made sense,
Mm.
um, for this particular area. So anyway, so we're drinking and just in our well, not my dorms because I didn't live in the dorms, but I was in one of my friends' dorms that we were drinking whatever, you know. But the guy that was supposed to be driving was not, so we were good on that front. So like, cool. So anyway, it gets to the point where we're gonna head out. So everybody. It was a few cars of us, like maybe like 2 or 3 cars of people. But the car I was in, it was only me and this one other dude. So we're just driving and just driving down the road.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, because where we lived, getting to Columbia from where we lived, you're just pretty much driving through rural South Carolina, and it's pretty much pitch black. There aren't a lot of like street lights, so it's just like dark. So so we're driving, and I had been drinking. I actually drank quite a bit, to be honest with you. So I was actually kind of already drunk. So I fell asleep. So I'm knocked out. So, however, the next thing I know, I just feel the car just like off-roading out of nowhere. I'm like, and so I pop up, and this dude, he fell asleep too. So, but he
Mm.
was not drunk. He just fell asleep.
Yeah.
So we're in the median, just bouncing up and down, driving through, the median. Then he eventually like was able to to stop, whatever, before anything crazy happened. Then we called the other people, like, hey man, we about to go home. So and then we went home. So that's the whole story. But yeah, this dude almost killed me.
I got a similar story to that too.
Yeah.
Mm.
Go ahead.
So, Josh, well, you already got one. You already shared yours.
Yeah. I was like, go ahead.
Um, so me and my cousin, were going to like a college area or whatever to
Mhm.
go to the party at the bowling alley. And I believe at this time I was living in Indianapolis, so we were leaving from there. But so my cousin's friends were driving and I guess like kind of hosting this whole thing. So I got in the car with them, and I'm gonna try not to be sexist, but women drive funny. Let's just say that. So
I have to make it a general statement.
but I've noticed in general, this is what I noticed. So, I'm sorry, women who are very great drivers, but this particular person wanted to go like 100 over 100 with 5 people in the car in a old Cadillac. So in the heat is not right. So I'm like, what have I got myself into with these because they're younger and I'm like the oldest person there. I'm like, they don't
That's
know
always rough.
how close to death they are because they're so and I'm here with y'all, so I'm part of it all anyway, so I can't say nothing. Besides, can you like possibly slow down some? So, I feel like we make it in record time, like we definitely beat whoever's high score in a time trial. The GC time trial definitely beat that, man. So we get there in the I'm still like kind of shaken up by surviving the drive, and so the party is all right. It's one of those like glow in the dark bowling parties or whatever.
Yep.
But I don't know anybody there, and
Cosmic
it was
bowling.
an okay time. It was like one of those things
Mhm.
where you don't get too much into it because like people were wilding out, as they say, as Nick Cannon says.
Wildin'.
It was just a lot going on, like, and I feel like at some point they started, like repping a set, and I just it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the risk of my life. We weren't there for long enough for it to be very productive, and
Mhm.
that was one of those times. I don't even remember the drive back. But I'm still alive, so
And we're grateful for it.
yeah, I get to
I got-
tell the story.
I know I say I'm washed on here constantly, and we acknowledge our age as young but not young. The layers of the joke of I was the oldest person in the car, so they don't get how close to doing
Man, that's like when you around young people, and
yeah,
you've been
young people having the mortality complex.
It's like, damn, man, they don't know that they are like ignorance is bliss type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wanted to take the wheel. They say Jesus I wanted to take the wheel, man.
Oh, and then it was something else you said. Well, I think we're all very articulate people, and Marco, I always remember how like hard you punch some words, and you're like they were wilding out, and there was folks started to claim their set.
Yeah, we got to a point where it wasn't about knocking pins down anymore.
Different kind of tens. Oh man, that's fucking funny. All right, we're gonna wrap there. We appreciate y'all for joining us for another episode of the InforMILLy Honest podcast. Instagram InforMILLy Honest, Facebook InforMILLy Honest podcast. Email us informillyyhonestpodcast@gmail.com. Support us. Sponsorships on Anchor. Videos are coming soon, I think, on Anchor and Spotify. So tune into that as well as the YouTube, as well as rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Twitter _, InforMILLy _HP. And TikTok coming soon. We own everything.
We got dances for y'all.
Yeah,
and I ain't the one dancing. It's them. No. I assure you that I will not be doing any TikTok trend dances because I am I hate that shit. It's not dance, it's gestures. And so you need at least 4 movements to be a dance. I would argue 8.
It's baseball third base coach movements.
Oh man. But yo, hit us up on everything. Rate, review. We love y'all. Every conversation that you have, every connection you make, and every I wanted to say it's gonna make this consistent. I say it every episode. Fuck it. Be honest. Be forthright, be vulnerable, and motherfucking honest. Y'all know what it is. You know the deal. We love you.
We love you. Shout out to Joe Rogan. Make that a thing. Love you, Joe Rogan. We love you, fans.
just say Joe Rogan in the episode. So that,
Marcus' views does not represent the views of this podcast.
And you know how Jimmy Kimmel always says, like, "Sorry, Matt Damon, we couldn't fit you in today."
Oh yeah.
No, I don't watch Kimmel, but I take your word for it.
I used to watch it a lot, and after every I want to say episode, but show, he says like, "Sorry, Matt Damon, we couldn't fit you in, like they didn't have time for him or whatever."
Right. Word.
But
All right,
anyway.
peace.
One of those you have to be there.
Can't look in the eyes of my brother without shedding a tear for my brother. I really wanna try for my brother, 'cause I truly do feel for my brother.